What's up, everybody? My name's Ladson. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Tonight I'm here to discuss with you life and the beauty in life that the Fab Four helped express through their musical lyrics that nobody had ever seen before. I'm talking, of course, about the Beatles. The Beatles consisted of John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. They brought their rock and roll to our world in about 1962 and played all the way through 1970 when the band finally dispersed. The group brought to the world many different things, but through their innovative musical lyrics, their different styles they popularized, and the diverse use of cultures they introduced to the world, they helped change the perspective that everybody had for that generation and for the rest of everybody's lives. My first topic I'm going to bring is the revolutionary style of music that they brought upon the world through their lyrics and through the creation of a different sound that nobody had ever heard before. Their music was different than anything that anybody had ever done in the past. You know, everybody during that time period wanted that Beatles sound. All the rock and roll groups during that time were completely different, and for many years to come, everybody wanted to imitate that sound. The Beatles did things differently when they recorded their music, where it was, at times, John Lennon would lay on the floor wanting to sing his song with the microphone, or they would want to harness a rope holding the microphone from the ceiling and try to get a different sound just by doing little things like that. It was the time of love, and they brought out emotions and expressions in people that people weren't even aware they could feel at the time. It was a completely different era of music and expression and freedom in general. And then there was their inspiration. Whether it was the early Beatles from 1962 to 1965, or even the later Beatles from 1965 to 1970, their hairstyles, their clothing, and the way they went about themselves was just completely rebellious and different than in the past. Their hairstyles, first of all, whether it was the mop-top Beatles that were the early Beatles, they were cute and cuddly, and everybody wanted one of their shaggy bowl-cut looks. Or it was the later rebellious, rugged-looking Beatles that had their long, scraggly hair and their beards and their mustaches. It was just completely unheard of at the time. People didn't know how to react at first. Some people, fans, true fans, would go to barbershops and request, "Oh, I want to look like John Lennon or George Harrison," and say, "Can I get a George Harrison haircut?" And barbers would turn them out the shop saying that, "We don't do that around here," because it was completely unheard of. It was something new and different in that time. It was rebellious. It was revolutionary. It was a change. And they changed their generation and many generations to come in the future just by doing the things that they believed in and just being different than the people of the 1940s and the people of the 1950s. And so then we talk about the cultures that they brought to the rest of the world. Whether it was their musical cultures, their clothing, or just life in general, they brought forth the hippie generation to begin with. People weren't tucking their shirts in anymore and, having formal haircuts and wearing suits and ties all the time. Lots of people all around the world were starting to wear colors and have that scraggly look that generations before and most people's parents and grandparents didn't even approve of because it was different, it was changed. People weren't used to change so much back then. And that's something that I think everybody can admire. And then there's Indian culture. The Beatles, through their trip to India that they did in the middle of the 1960s, they had a spiritual enlightenment, and they brought this forth through their attitudes and music on the rest of the world. They started practicing meditation and showing, the world that there were Hare Krishnas out there that were following a different form of religion and belief than the rest of the world was used to, and they introduced this in their music. And through their album covers and photo shoots and the way they carried themselves, it was just completely different than anything anybody had ever seen. And so the Beatles, they were one of the most persuasive groups of their time, and 50 years later even, nobody was more influential and had a bigger impact and effect on the rest of the world than the four Beatles did. I'm talking, of course, about John, Paul, George, and Ringo. The four Beatles brought about change to everybody, whether it was directly or indirectly, whether they did it accidentally or on purpose. They transformed and improved the lives of hundreds of thousands to come during their time and for many years to come after that. So let us therefore embrace their music and the stimulating influence they left with us. Let's come together and join music more than we ever have. Let's appreciate their lasting impact and carry that weight. And in the end, just simply let it be. Thank you.